Hi, I'm John Hulsey, and this is my informative speech on why hunting is true conservation. Let's begin. Among the many proud, well-known conservationists, Theodore Roosevelt summed up the importance of the hunter in conservation, stating, "In a civilized and cultivated country, wild animals only continue to exist at all when preserved by sportsmen." Being the founder of National Wildlife Refuge System and an avid hunter himself, he knew and understood the importance of the hunter and in the conservation of wildlife, also stating, "In reality, the genuine sportsman is by all odds the most important factor in keeping the larger and more valuable wild creatures from total extermination." In 3 steps, I will inform you on why hunting is conservation. First, I will explain what conservation and hunting are, then what benefits come from hunting. Lastly, I will give examples of how hunting is utilized for conservation. Let's begin by first stating what my visual aid today is. My visual aid is this hunter's orange hat that's sitting beside me. This represents why hunting is true conservation. Now let's get started. First, what is conservation and hunting? Hunting, as stated by the conservation organization, the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, is the act of chasing or searching for game or other wild animals. Also, the RMEF gives a great definition for conservation, which is the act of using or managing natural resources wisely. Both of these definitions are summed up for historical, biological, financial, physical, and scientific connectivity. The way this works is how hunting benefits conservation, or if it even does. There is no question about it, really, except to plainly state that it is true. In fact, so true that it may be the biggest reasoning for conservation. Benefits to hunting for conservation surpasses most people's understanding of hunting. So to my second point. Secondly, what benefits come from conservation due to hunting? To begin, hunting provides funding for conservation through hunting licenses and fees, combined with donations to conservation groups like RMEF and many others, which benefits management and restoring populations and habitats of wildlife species, including game and non-game species. Another part of funding done by hunters is the purchasing of ammo, firearms, and hunting equipment bought. This is best known as the Pittman-Robertson Act. The funds go into a large range of conservation programs, including hunter's ed and many other outdoor recreation access. Hunting also benefits biologists to help learn more about diseases in different species by gathering samples for state and federal agencies for hunters to help better understand outbreaks of disease in specific animal species. Also, on the biologist side of wildlife, research is funded by hunting licenses and fees, with donations as well to help researchers learn more about migration, habitat use, predation, and many more scientific studies. The funding is not only for game species, actually. Songbirds, insects, plant species, and much more benefit from the same funds. Hunting keeps a balance between prey and predators also, which is a huge factor to consider for proper management of wildlife. Another huge benefit to conservation from hunting is it helps combat poaching. Hunters are the first line of defense in identifying anyone who illegally kills or wastes wild game. Many recognize the problem and report it to game wardens and other authorities. The last factor of hunting is that it boosts the economy tremendously. Hunting is most definitely conservation, and these are some of the benefits of hunting for conservation. Lastly, what are some examples of how hunting is utilized for conservation? There are many examples here in the U.S., which include habitat research and wildlife law enforcement work that are all paid for by hunters. It helps game species as well as non-game species. Through state licenses and fees alone, pays $796 million a year from conservation programs. Through donation groups like RMEF, hunters graciously add $440 million a year to conservation efforts. In 1937, hunters actually requested an 11% tax on guns, ammo, and other equipment to help fund conservation. This tax generates $371 million a year. Altogether, hunters pay more than $1.6 billion a year for conservation programs. No one gives more than hunters. Every single day, U.S. hunters contribute $8 million to conservation. Hunting funds conservation and the economy generating $38 billion a year in retail spending. Even in Africa, hunting is also used as a means of conservation through the means of trophy hunting. Many African nations have taken part in this economical game changer. Trophy hunting has and can provide the incentives and revenue necessary to make conservation efforts more resilient in this phase of change while conserving the health of ecosystems and make change sustainable. The conservation benefits of trophy hunting in Africa helps create economic incentives to conserve wildlife habitat and healthy wildlife populations. The revenue generated by trophy hunting helps wildlife habitat become economic access for individuals and communities and allows hunting to be competitive with other land use options. This includes royal job creation and revenue for conservation agencies. So with hunting, including trophy hunting in Africa, it only can generate change in an entire nation, let alone help transform wildlife habitat for generations to come. Hunting, again, is true conservation. So I have informed you on what hunting and conservation is. I have given you benefits to hunting and how it affects conservation alone. I have also given you real-world examples that have made tremendous change in wildlife, be it through research, recreational means, and even economical changes in nations. Hunting is without a doubt the fighting force of true conservation and the betterment of our wildlife habitats for generations to come. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.